Welcome, everyone. We're here where the curriculum of the mystery schools is not mysterious anymore. Really quick, in Googling earlier today, something came up that I wanted to share with you. The early mystery schools of the Greeks centered around a kind of a play, a performance, or a ritual reenactment of the life of such gods as Osiris, Dionysus, Demeter. These are divinities most often associated with the underworld, the realm of the dead, the powers of darkness, and the process of rebirth. So death and rebirth, perfect. We are here, book study number 32 of Unfolding Consciousness by Dr. Eddie Villamoria, continuing our Death is Transition series. I love this so much. It's my favorite chapter, Death. Yes. What's it like for you? Is death something you talk about in your world? Is death on your radar? Do you accept that death is coming? Or are you in that space where we wish it is not going to happen? We don't want it to happen at all costs. Right now in our news is the tiny sub going down to the Titanic that is all over the news. Everybody freaking out about these 5 people that are in there. And they most likely, as of right now, they most likely will have passed away. There's so much attention being paid to this tiny little sub and these 5 people. My son last night on the phone, he goes, "Mom, what's your take on it?" And I thought, well, honey, we're all going to die. We are all going to die. That is a guarantee. That's not being morbid. It's true. If you're born, you're going to die. And between that, you have change and an opportunity to learn. But the most important thing is, especially in this chapter as we're learning, death is transition. You don't end at death, but the physical life will pass. Some of us will die on a submarine on the way to the Titanic, possibly. Some of us will pass away today. We think that we're going to be living till 90, 120 somebody was talking about today. Absolutely not. No, thank you. The thing is, we're all going to go, and we think we have all this time. We could end today. It could be a bus, could be a heart attack, could be cancer, could be, I don't know, an accident. You fall off a cliff. We're all going to die, and death is natural. It's beautiful. It happens to all of us. It's not as tragic as we look at it to be, and that's why understanding death, we can see the meaning of life. Why are we here? And that's what we're doing in this particular book study. And he goes, "You're weird, Mom." And I go, "Maybe I am weird. But I wasn't always this weird. I used to be freaked out like everybody else is. But now I look at it, I embrace it, I accept it. It certainly is. And I almost, and this may be weird, almost look forward to it. It's just a part of life." So today we are looking at after-death communication, the evidence of after-death communication. Have you had any communication from a loved one after they passed away? I believe that I have, and I'm going to share it at the end of this video, my little story. So I don't know how I'd classify it either, but I'm pretty sure it was. So I love this chapter so much. I don't believe there's anything more important for us to do. So thank you, Jonathan, for your questions. I'm so grateful you're here. Thank you. Your questions will join Clark's and Alan's and everybody else's. And if you have questions for Eddie, comments, insights, suggestions, even constructive criticism, leave them here. Eddie's going to be our guest here at the house next month, and we're going to be doing a video together for you, the UC Book Study University audience. That's you. Remember, all that is Unfolding Consciousness, this 1,000 plus page 4-volume set, did not originate with Eddie. He wasn't laying there one day and just came up with it when he woke up. This book has been researched, referenced, written, collected, compiled, explained in brave and venturous depth. These book studies are a way to get the ancient teachings out into the world of today where they are so desperately needed. So please, if you are gaining anything from these Sunday sessions, anything at all, I humbly ask, please, that you like, subscribe, and share. That changes the algorithm and gets these teachings out into the world where they need to be. Again, this isn't about me, nor is it about Eddie. The teachings are center stage. They are the star here. And these book studies are truly all about you. So we continue through in volume 2 of Unfolding Consciousness. There are 4 volumes. Each volume has a subtitle. So this is, again, exploring the living universe. Everything is alive, everything is conscious, and the intelligent powers in nature and humans. And this one is peering down the microscope, man's internal landscapes. We're looking at the inside of who we are. Who are we as human beings? We have the cosmos, we have man, Okay, so together here in chapter 5, death is transition, time at the door of eternity. We've been doing death is transition for the last, 12 times, last 12 book studies, which is big. Our yellow post-it study notes this week are modern scientific evidence on after-death communications and international scientists on ADC investigative committee. So there's a whole research thing we're going to be talking about. This is proof. Don't forget, you get 20% off the 4-volume set with the exclusive UC Book Study code, which is simply UC Book Study. And that's from the Shepard Walwyn website. After Death Communications, the Evidence. An ambitious multilingual project called Investigation of the Phenomenology, I love that word, phenomenology, and impact of perceived, spontaneous, and direct after-death communications, we're going to call them ADCs, after-death communications, was conducted from February 2018 to January 2020. The 3 objectives of this 2-year research program to gain a better understanding of the phenomenology of the impact of perceived, spontaneous, and direct after-death communications were to describe the phenomenology of perceived ADCs, to analyze the impact of perceived ADCs on those who experienced them. This is going to be referred to in the study as experience. Those who got the after-death communication were the experience with a T. And then to disseminate the research results as widely as possible to the scientific community and the general public. So we're going to cover that, okay? The methods used comprised a specially designed online questionnaire. Sounds simple, but it's not. The data from which were expected to provide insights into the nature of after-death communications, specifically the profile of the experience, those experiencing them, and the profile of the deceased person supposedly initiating the contact. The circumstances surrounding the occurrence, how did it occur, where did it occur, the type and the content and the period of time over which the messages were communicated, and their composite impact on the experience. It was intended that the details and results of the project would be disclosed to the scientific community and the public by means of publications, conferences, and media events. So we're going to cover it right here in our book study. To achieve the various objectives of the research project, the team developed an online questionnaire of 194 questions, including follow-up questions after somebody said, yes, this took place, after the affirmative responses, which was accessible online for 6 months. A total of 1,004 questionnaires were completed, 416 in English, 440 in French, and 148 in Spanish. This comprised more than 2 million words for the full ADC accounts alone, effectively constituting the largest multilingual collection of spontaneous modern-day ADCs worldwide. The 7 types of after-death communications investigated were 1. Sensing a presence, feeling the familiar presence of a deceased family member or friend without seeing or hearing them, or feeling a physical contact or smelling a fragrance. More on the smelling in a moment. Number 2, hearing a voice, either from an outside source, like your name being called, in the same way that you would hear a living person, or perceiving the communication without an external sound, but you hear it with your astral senses, your inner ears. We all have them. All the outside senses, we have astral versions inside of us. We do. Number 3, feeling a physical contact on a part of our body, like a touch or a pressure or even a caress or kiss, a hand placed on the shoulder, or an actual embrace, feeling that. Sensing the deceased. Number 4, sensing the deceased as apparitions that can occur indoors, for example, at night, in the bedroom, or outside, even in a car or an airplane, wherever. Number 5, smelling a fragrance characteristic of the deceased as an olfactory contact during which fragrance is associated with the deceased person, like the perfume, their favorite perfume, their aftershave lotion, soap, tobacco, a characteristic body scent, etc. Number 6, during sleep, when falling asleep or waking up. This is called the hypnagogic state, hypnagogia. This is a very sacred time, and Rumi calls it the time of miracles. Number 7, this is crisis. Within a 72-hour period, there's a window before and after death. Crisis after-death communications are particularly significant, but they're rare and even evidential, since experience complained that they were informed of the death of a family member by the deceased themselves in a waking state or waking up at night. Experience, hear, or see the deceased who announce their death with serenity, sometimes even with joy. I came to say goodbye. I'm leaving now. Significantly, they often seem to use the verb to leave, as if they're preparing to embark on a journey. So, it is not without good reason that Eddie has titled this chapter, Death is Transition. Furthermore, a large majority of participants had multiple ADCs with one or several deceased persons. Now, this surprised the researchers, since the literature does not report such a high number of multiple ADCs. After-death communications. Skeptical scientists would find it hard to fault the preeminence, which means the greatness, of the following 7 members, here they come, of the International Project Team and consultant scientific committee members. They are Evelyn Elzaessa. I hope I'm saying that right. Evelyn Elzaessa. She's a specialist of experiences related to death out of Switzerland. Number 2, Professor Chris A. Rowe, Center Lead for the Psychology and Social Sciences Research Center, University of Northampton, UK. Number 3, Dr. Callum E. Cooper, Lecturer in Psychology, the University of Northampton, United Kingdom. Number 4, David Lorimer, the Program Director of the Scientific and Medical Network, United Kingdom. Number 5, Professor Kim Penberthy, Professor of Psychiatry and Neurobehavioral Sciences, Division of Perceptual Studies at the University of Virginia, School of Medicine, United States of America. Number 6, Professor Peter Finnick, President Emeritus of the Scientific and Medical Network, you've probably heard of him, consultant neuropsychologist at the Maudsley and John Radcliffe Hospitals. He is a consultant at the Institute of Psychiatry, King's College, London. He has worked with the Mental Health Group at the University of Southampton, United Kingdom. Professor Kenneth Ring, founding editor of the Journal of Near-Death Studies and Professor Emeritus of Psychology at the University of Connecticut, United States of America. Now, these folks are not woo-woo spiritualists, or as I call them, Glastonbury goddesses, self-appointed Glastonbury goddesses of the New Age movement. No, this team published their findings in 2 booklets, including a literature review. Number 1, a presentation of research findings by anchoring those to previous literature in the form of an ADC literature review. And number 2, a documentation of individual cases. And they thoroughly describe the phenomenology of the after-death communication experiences. So, the results presented in the booklets refer to the totality of the collected data, namely the combination of the replies of the 1,004 questionnaires completed in English and French and Spanish, whereas the particular analyses of the collected data will be the subject of future individual papers. The purpose of the 2 publications was to present some of the quantitative, which means measurable, results of the survey. Now, this is shown in volume 2, 4, a comparative graph showing the number of occurrences by type of after-death communication of the samples. So we're going to take a look. Let's put this up. Here we go. So of the 1,004 experience, the results show that 62.2% they occurred when falling asleep or waking up, the hypnagogic state, as we said. 47.7% were tactile, that means feeling. They had a physical contact on a part of their body, for example, a touch, some kind of pressure, a caress, even a kiss, or a hug. And 46.2 were visual, as sensing the deceased, and they can occur indoors, outdoors. They don't have to happen at night, in the bedroom. They can happen outside in your car during the day. 43.3% were auditory after-death communications. That meant they heard a voice, either from an outside source, in the same way you hear me talking to you right now, or perceiving the communication without the external sound, hearing it inside in your inner ears, your astral ears. 34.4% were sensing a presence, which means feeling, or you just feel that they're there, that energy. You can feel when somebody's looking at you, it feels like that. You can feel that presence of your deceased family member or loved one, your friend, without seeing or hearing them, or feeling a physical contact, or smelling a fragrance. So you sense them. And then 27.9% is smelling them, smelling a fragrance characteristic of their deceased. You know how some people have, well, most people have a distinct smell, not a body odor, but they smell a certain way. You smell that, you smell their perfume, their aftershave lotion, soap, tobacco, a characteristic body scent. Like, you know, when you're dating somebody and you want to wear their shirt, remember that? That's the smell. 20.7% had a crisis. Okay, that's within 24 hours before or after death. Crisis ADCs are particularly significant and even evidential, remember, because the experience, that's with the T, the experience, those who experience the ADC claim that they were informed of the death of a family member or friend by the deceased, the one who died themselves, in a waking state or waking up at night. And the experience hear or see the deceased person who announced their death with calmness and serenity. Like they say, I came to say goodbye. I love you. I'm leaving now. Significantly, they often seem to use the verb to leave as if they are going to change where they're at from this place to another. They're going on a journey. It is hoped that the above research findings will influence the views of psychotherapists of post-mortem consciousness. This, in turn, should have a bearing on the work with their clients. The latest doctoral research suggests that this is indeed the case, thank goodness. Furthermore, it indicates that the current scientific paradigm on which counseling and psychotherapy is based represses the presentation of more open and speculative views about what it means to be human, thereby limiting issues that clients might otherwise bring to therapy. This is so important. Thank you, Eddie, including belief in post-mortem consciousness. Oh, I love these so much. Thank you. I love that. There's nothing more I'd rather be doing than be here on Sunday with you with these. Thank you. This is Unfolding Consciousness, Exploring the Living Universe and the Intelligent Powers in Nature and Humans. And I believe I have an ADC as well, but I think it would fall under the category of the sensing. My mother passed away in 2003. And when I was a child, my very favorite thing, this is when I was an infant, my favorite thing was the formula Similac. And my mother used to sing a little song to me about my love for Similac. And she'd sing to my father about my love for Similac. She even wrote a poem to the company about my love for Similac. And they wrote her back. They had framed it. It's a really big thing. It is a recognition. Whenever I hear the word Similac, I'm taken right back into my mother's arms as an infant. So I worked at a radio station back in 2003 when my mother passed away. And there was a friend of ours who worked at the station whose mother had passed away a few months before. And he noted that there was something about the washing machine lid being open and that it was strange. I just remember I clocked that because I thought, that is ridiculous. He thinks that his mother's communicating with him through the washing machine being open. I never heard that before. And of course I went, okay. So I noted that in my mind. I noted that. And so I flew back for her funeral. She was out of state, lots of drama back there, flying back to the East Coast and then flying back home. And she was only 63 when she passed, but when I got back home, I was at the house alone. My son was at school, and I was doing the laundry. And I was doing the laundry, which was in the garage. So I go out to the garage to do the laundry, and I'm gonna load this is a top loading machine. I load the laundry, I go back in the house, come back out, and I'm sitting here talking to you, telling you the absolute truth. The laundry had opened up. This is actually lifted. So the top, and I thought, well, it must have been, off balance. So it shook it open. And then I thought of that fellow at work who talked about his mother. I thought, I'm just making that up. That's ridiculous. So I closed it back up, turned it back on, went in the house, came back out. 30 minutes later, it was straight up. There was no jostling, no banging, no nothing. I thought, oh my gosh, I wonder if this is Mama. So anyway, I shut it and I'm there at the house by myself again. I go back in the house, let the laundry carry on, and I come back out. The washing machine is up. The lid is up. But there's also a little plastic, like hand soap thing that's in the middle of the room, in the middle of the garage, which is actually a storage room for all of my things are in this room. but there was this little thing in the middle of the room that wasn't there before. And I pick it up, and it is a hand gel. It's like a hand soap. And it's green. It's very fresh looking. And I pick it up. I go, where did that come from? And I turn it around. And on the back of it, it says, with love from the makers of Similac. And I thought, oh my God. Okay. So I don't know what that was. But to me, it let me know, it was about maybe 4 days after she passed, that she was okay and that all was well. And in a way, it was a little communication from her. So I felt her sense, but that was a really big thing. But anyway, thank you for being here. I love these with you. I'm so grateful to be here with you every Sunday. Again, remember, this is a 4-volume set. If you'd like to save 20% off the hard volume set, you can get 20% off by typing off UC Book Study at the Shepherd Walwyn website. Now, the ebooks are going to be out. They are coming. I have seen their little proofs. I even loaded them in my Kindle. I had a pre-version, put it in my Kindle. It's so exciting to see this. We've needed these for months. This came out last May in 2022. The ebooks will be launched within days, weeks. So weeks at the most. Maybe by the time Eddie gets here, he says they'll be out. So I'm looking forward to that. Remember, if you have any questions, comments, constructive criticism, thoughts, share them. We can share that with Eddie and we can talk with him here. And we're really looking forward to his visit. We're going to have actually, I don't know if I should tell you this. Should I tell you this? I will. We're going to have some mediums come over. He's interested in having some mediums and some healers come over and talk about the actual occult therapeutics and this communication with working mediums. We'll be not doing that on camera, but we can talk to him about that kind of stuff. So you have science meeting the, I don't want to say new age, but meeting spirituality right here. That's what we're doing. And there's more interested than ever before. Thank you so much for all you are and do, especially you, Chris Sheridan, all of you working very hard to get these out into the world. I'm grateful for you. I love you. And I will see you next week. Mwah.